Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much. This is the webinar number 6 of the Share4Rare platform, and it's focused to explain and to introduce to all of you in how your data is processed in the Share4Rare platform. My name is Begoña Nafria, and I'm the Share4Rare project coordinator at Sant Joan de Déu Children's Research Foundation in Barcelona, in Spain. And it's my pleasure today to have in this webinar the expert of our project in data science, Alex Perera. He is a research member of the group B2S lab in the Polytechnic University of Catalonia. These are the main rules of this webinar. First of all, we want to inform to all of you that this webinar it's going to be recorded and uploaded in the Share4Rare YouTube channel. You can share with your contacts and with your close people in order to disseminate about the Share4Rare. For any question that you can have along the webinar, you can use the chat box. At the end, we are going to have a time for questions and answers, and it's going to be a pleasure to answer all the questions that you will raise in this box. Always, you can reach us via the informative email of our project. And also, we encourage you to join to the conversation using the hashtag Share4Rare webinar. This is the agenda of the webinar of today. First of all, we are going to introduce to all of you in the Share4Rare platform. Secondly, we are going to work in an introduction about what means data science, and also explain how it's the collaborative knowledge that we are going to generate in the Share4Rare platform. We are going to introduce also to all of you in the Share4Rare community. This is a global social network focusing pediatric rare conditions. And at the end, we are going to have time for the questions and answers, as I explained previously. Share4Rare is a European project granted by the European Commission that has as a main aim to build the biggest social network on rare diseases, at the same time that we are going to encourage and promote the clinical data donation with the aim to foster research in this group of conditions that, as you know, basically are orphan of information and research initiatives. We have three important objectives in our platform. The first one is to educate. For us, it's very important to offer important information about your condition. It's an objective, the education, in order to improve the management of the disease, that we know also that contributes to the quality of life of patients and families. We are going to publish several medical content in the public layer of the platform. At this moment, if you access to the website of the Share4Rare platform, you will see the first book regarding this educational material that it's focused in a toolkit for patient advocacy. And in the upcoming weeks, we are going to publish in the same area of the public website medical content regarding several oncology diseases and also about several muscular disorders. In these both groups of rare conditions, we are going to promote the research in the Share4Rare platform thanks to the clinical data donation. The second objective of our platform is to share, because we know that it's crucial and very important for the patients and for the families with a rare disease to share information between them, to share experiences, and to learn together. In this sense, we have built a global community of patients and families. This is a development of the platform that at this moment it's working. You can access. This is a private environment, and it's only addressed to adult patients and caregivers or other kind of relatives of pediatric patients. The innovative of this global community has been designed with patients and patients organizations and advocates. At the aim of this global community, it's to offer a huge community of people that, according with your needs, can answer the questions that you can raise to this big community. Alex is going to explain in more detail how it works, but we have algorithms of intelligence artificial helping us to facilitate the process to target these questions to the audience. It means that if you have a specific question that can be answered for for another person, probably with the same condition, the same phenotype, or in the future, probably, you will select the country of this person. This question will be shown to these people in first position instead in the global collection of questions in the community. And the third and the last principle or main objective of our platform is research. We know that patients and families, you have a lot of information that probably never is used for research. We know, because we are a pediatric hospital in Spain, based in Barcelona, that this information that patients and families you have, it's very important for us. And the aim of Share4Rare is to collect this information in this private and secure environment in order to facilitate better or well description of the natural history of the disease. Also, all this data can facilitate to us to work and design prognosis algorithms, create patients databases, also collect information that is so relevant for other kind of research projects like clinical trials. These are the patient-reported outcome measures. These are very relevant, and in the past never has been considered all this collection of information in research. And also the aim of these different tools that are going to facilitate research based in the data of the patients in Share4Rare, we expect that will promote other kind of projects. These are the list of conditions. Both groups of diseases have between them main communities, and the idea is to work and analyze all the data by the individual conditions, but also using the approach to analyze all this information as a group of conditions, with the aim, as I mentioned, to describe better these diseases and to probably identify information that have never been studied in these diseases. These are the partners of our project. The initiative is coordinated by our institution, Fundació Sant Joan de Déu, and the other partners involved are the Synergies. This is a company based in Belgium. They are working with us in the design of the platform and in the co-design workshops with patients. We have the expertise of the neuromuscular disorders from the team of Newcastle University. The expertise and the needs of the patients of oncology disorders are represented by the colleagues of Melanoma Patient Network Europe. On behalf of the patients with neuromuscular disorders, we have the World Duchenne Organization, and the team that is involved in the IT development are the OMADA and also the University Polytechnic of Catalonia, where our speaker today is working. And the last partner, Acerta, is helping us in the design of the sustainability model of the platform. The platform is designed in a mobile first version. It means that you can access, you can interact from your laptop, but also from your mobile. And this is the general introduction. All your questions can be raised in this text box. And now is the time for Alex. Alex is going to speak about the data science and the model that we are using in the Share4Rare platform. It's my pleasure to introduce Alex, and thank you very much for your expertise and for your time today in this webinar. Thank you.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Alex.
Great. So let me talk about the design in terms of data science that we have thought for the Share4Rare platform. And maybe a unique or a concept, a central design concept for the Share4Rare platform, it's to have a collaborative intelligence in its core working system. So collaborative intelligence, it's a system in which each human is actually contributing to a problem solving in a distributed system working as a network. So one example of this, I'm not sure I can pass to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. One example of this is one example that I like to cite, which is the Tesla. Tesla cars are interesting products, because as you drive, the cars are learning how you are driving, even if you have not bought the Autopilot feature from a Tesla car. So even when you are driving, but you have not bought the Autopilot feature, you are teaching a central piloting software, which is learning from you and the rest of drivers to learn. And then Tesla is distributing this. Tesla is distributing this software. It's distributing the software so that all the cars, they can actually drive. Okay. So maybe a pilot study for the Share4Rare, it was an initiative that St. Joan de Déu Hospital took, in which we also contributed, which is the Rare Commons platform. The Rare Commons platform, it was it's still working. It's a platform in which you can enroll and ask questions and provide data about your condition or the condition of somebody in your family. And then you can talk or interact with other patients or caregivers around the world. So this is taking us to the system that we have devised in the Share4Rare platform. So this system is actually based in two essential parts. The first one is a system in which the caregivers and the patients are donating data. And the second part, it's a system in which you can ask questions. And these questions are not thrown into a forum as in a general website, but these questions are propagated through a network, as we will see later on. So these two parts, these questions and answer systems and the data donation, it's what I will try to explain in the following slides. So in the first part, the data donation, we centered the concept of interaction of the data with the platform using equity as a key value. So you as a caregiver or you as a patient, you give data upfront. And this data is guiding your interaction with the platform. So in this way, when you provide your data, you are instantly given back with information about the distribution of the rest of patients regarding to your position or your children or your patient. So this equity concept in which you give data and the platform gives statistical data to you is central. Which data are you giving? So we think that profiling the patients, it's important. And the main idea is that you can donate different kinds of data, like diagnosis, of course, maybe genetic variants, which have been helpful for the diagnosis, symptoms in a very specific way, as we will see later on, and a number of questionnaires that are going to help us to put you in the map in relationship with the rest of patients, right? And then the system is allowing different profiles to enroll, in which are patients, caregivers, clinicians, and researchers. And all of them, they are going to have a role in the data management. Okay, and then in this data processing, there is a central at the end of the workflow of the enrolling. You will see that there are actually two parts in which is the data sharing and then the research part. Okay. which is what you see here, right? So after identity is validated and the diagnosis also validated, you can share data which is going to be contributing to the research, and the research is going to be contributing with information about your disease as much as you contribute with the data. So throughout the community, we are going to be learning the features on the different learning rare diseases and help into research and patient gain information. So I thought that, I said before that one of the features that we want to do is to have upfront profiling. So you will see that the patient, as you, the system as you enroll, you have a short questionnaire with typical data and consent about participation and so on. You will see that you can state your diagnosis. You can also, if you are not diagnosed, you can also state that you are not diagnosed, and still you will be contributing into the system. And in the next step of the registration, you will see that you will be queried on the symptoms. And these symptoms, you can declare them using a very specific phenotype or symptoms database, which is the Human Phenotype Ontology that I'm going to be explaining later on. So when you fill up or you declare your symptoms, you're going to declare the symptoms that we will try to be as much specific as possible. And all the symptoms, they have an ID that they are curated into a catalog of symptoms that I'm going to describe. This catalog of symptoms, it's the Human Phenotype Ontology. An ontology is a standardized vocabulary or dictionary of terms. And these terms are actually describing different abnormalities that we can observe from patients. Nowadays, HPO contains over more than 10,000 terms. And it's also supported by the Monarch initiative, and it's also translated to several languages. So how do we, the structure of HPO is a hierarchy in which there is a top node, like for instance, organ abnormality. And this abnormality, it can belong to the different different areas, like the nervous system or abdomen or musculoskeletal or connective tissue. So when you declare a number of symptoms, you will see that some of these nodes, you're declaring some of these nodes on the Human ontology. So remember that this ontology is actually very large, it's thousands of terms. So it's very difficult that you actually state a particular term identical to another patient. So in the next slides, you'll see an example of an annotation, right? So you will see that for one particular patient, a patient, it's going to be declaring an abnormality of the skeletal system or flexion contracture, and so on. Once a patient has declared their symptoms or their phenotypes, you will see that what we are able to do is to compare a pattern of activation on this tree of different terms, which is very, very organized, to the characteristic trees that you find on, for instance, diseases, right? So we can check diagnosis or compatibility of the diagnosis with different with different diseases. But maybe the most interesting part is that we can compare how the terms are declared, these symptoms are declared between patients. So even for a similar disease, there is going to be variability in the symptoms that we observe. And this variability, it may be just because of randomness or because the disease has some structure. And when we gain grabbing or gathering data from a collective for a particular disease, we're going to be learning about the structure of these symptoms. And of course, we can compute similitude metrics, right? It's a number just stating how similar patients are between them. Once we have these metrics of similarity, we can plot or conceive a mathematical object, which is a graph. So if you think of Facebook, for instance, when you participate in Facebook, you are participating in a system in which you are connected to different people. In the Share4Rare platform, we connect you with other people in terms on how similar this people is to you in your profiling. And this very curated profiling, it will start with your symptoms declaration. So once we have these similarities, we can actually find structure in a particular disease just using mathematical algorithms which try to find groups of different phenotypes belonging to the same disease. And we can use different metrics for computing these similarities, like the questionnaires, not only the Human Phenotype Ontology, but also questionnaires about quality of life, targeted studies, and others. Okay, maybe in the second part of the slides, I would like to talk a bit on how we want to build community in terms of this question and answer system. So the idea in this question and answer system is that we also use the patient profiles, this upfront profiling that you get when you enroll into the Share4Rare system, jointly with your questions. This is essentially mixing artificial intelligence, database concepts, data science, and patient profiling. So what we want to do is to avoid, what we want to do is to avoid the classical forum, a structure on the different profiles, in which you ask a question on a forum, and then the other participants, they have to look for each one of the questions, looking at the subject of each one of the questions. You can have a lot of pages, you can have a lot of forums in which you want to seek. So, so in the Share4Rare, we want to provide a different scheme in which we want to avoid this forum structure, and we want to help avoiding recurrent questions. And we want to do this using two concepts. The first is to maximize the probability that your question reaches to relevant people, and then to maximize the probability that these people are providing relevant answers. Okay, so how we are gonna do this? So we have this similitude graph, this mathematical object, which is like a Facebook network in which we connect to each other. So what we are gonna do is to apply a kind of algorithms which are called diffusion. This diffusion, it's based on some research that if you are interested in more details, you can look for it. It's open research, so everybody can read exactly how this is done. And essentially, what we are doing is applying a mathematical score, which is propagating through the network. So in this score, it's like when information is diffusing on Facebook, right? In the Facebook network, you ask something or you publish something, and this is seen by your friends. and your friends are relaying this post to other friends. So in the Share4Rare network, we have this graph that you will see in the next slides. What you can see here is the graph, for instance, computed using HPO similarity. And then if you assume that you are the top right icon, right, this me that you see on the top right on the screen, and you ask a question, it's like you get activated into this network. So in the next slide, you will see it's highlighted as red. And then this question, it gets diffused through the graph in a continuous manner. So the people which is closer to you, and this means that they have a most similar profile to you, they are gonna get this diffusion score higher than other people in the network. So you will see it, yes, in the next slide, you will see it, that this is reflected, for instance, as a way of, as a way to ordering the questions to you. So we are using this relevance score in which you will see a number or a color code attached to each one of the questions. And this means that this question has been posed by a patient or a caregiver which has a lot of similarity and to you as a patient or as a profile. And we believe that this is going to help a lot in defining who reaches the question and who is able to ask the question. So you will see in the user interface that you're able to type your question into stages. So you will be able to ask first the short questions and then a more detailed text explaining what exactly do you want to find this answer. You can also define scopes that we are not using them, but we might, there is a filtering, sorry, yes, we are using them. You can also filter these questions given a scope set, and then given this scope selection, these questions are gonna be ordered by relevance from the people like me information. So we will be using this network information in several ways. And we are doing active research in this area, in which what we are doing is applying concepts which are called multi-view data, in which from the same network, the same set of patients, they are connected in different ways. And these different ways, they can actually help us to understand the structure of the patients. And this is active research. And I ask you please to contact us if you have more interest in these matters and how we are doing research using this network information of patients. Okay, so just to finish my talking here, just to say that we are building this Share4Rare platform with a lot of effort. We are trying to put our best, and small diseases are actually small data, and there is a lot of research that it's actually talking about big data, and rare diseases, it's not only rare, but it's also small data. So from all the data science people, they are not really paying attention into the rare diseases data processing in all these artificial intelligence and all these research schemes. So what we are trying to do is to foster this small data in a way that it's not small data anymore. And so it can be similar to its big brother, big data.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Alex, for your explanation about the data model of Share4Rare. I would want to add that beyond, probably we consider that it's a small data. In the field of rare diseases, it's a smart data, because it helps to us, first of all, to connect and identify patients with commonalities, because sometimes even the small number of patients, the phenotype is quite diverse in one condition. And the other point is that if we have knowledge about these rare diseases, probably in a close future, will be easy to set up any other kind of research projects. Said this, thank you again, Alex, for your explanation. As we mentioned, the basis and the pillars of Share4Rare are the patients, is the data that you can provide to us, are your interactions in this platform, because qualitative data also has a very important value for us. And this platform, it's a platform that has been designed for the patients with the patients, but still we are improving and working with new developments. In fact, I want to invite to all of you to disseminate, and also if you are interested to participate in a hackathon that we are going to celebrate in Barcelona the first week of July, in order to involve scientific people from the IT field and also from the clinical setting with patients, in order to design and test a chatbot to improve the functionality and the user experience of the Share4Rare platform. Another upcoming events will be webinars like this to explain in more detail new tools of the Share4Rare, and also to introduce the tools focused in research, that this is going to come very soon, and you are going to be also invited to participate. And for the people that probably will live in Barcelona or closer to us, we are going to celebrate the 4th of July, a face-to-face presentation for patients and staff of patients organizations or other kind of people interested in the initiative in our hospital, in Sant Joan de Déu Children's Hospital. Say this, this is the information about the rare hacks that I mentioned. You can access to additional information in the website of this event. Say this, it's the time, if you have any kind of questions and answers, you have a very relevant expert in our community, that it's Alex, and also myself, if I can help in any way to solve all your comments or questions. Please use the text box of the system, and we will be happy to answer any kind of comment from your part. Thank you.